Welcome back, friends. Before we plunge into today's chapter, share your takeaways and boldest thoughts in the comments. Tell us the moment that hit hardest and what you'd do differently. Tap like, hit subscribe and ring the bell, then settle in. The next twist arrives in 3-2. The city's pulse was a discordant symphony at 11:03 p.m., a frantic beat of car horns, distant sirens, and the impatient shuffle of 1,000 shoes against concrete. Layla Harris, a creature of meticulous habit and balanced ledgers, felt the familiar prickle of anxiety. 3 minutes. Her precisely allocated 60-minute lunch break was already hemorrhaging precious seconds. She tightened her grip on the strap of her practical, unassuming leather handbag, her mind a well-oiled machine already churning through the afternoon's tasks. The depreciation schedule for the Miller account, cross-referencing third-quarter receivables, the endless, soothing rhythm of numbers falling neatly into place. Accounting wasn't just her profession. It was her sanctuary, a structured universe built of logic and consequence, a stark contrast to the sprawling, unpredictable chaos of the metropolis outside her ordered office window. The street was a torrent of humanity, a blur of motion and fleeting purpose. She stepped off the curb, her gaze fixed not on the rushing traffic, but on the digital countdown of the pedestrian signal across the wide avenue. 14 seconds. Her stride lengthened automatically. She could make it in 12, maybe 11 if she pushed it. Efficiency was ingrained. Then the predictable rhythm shattered. It wasn't the impatient blast of a taxi horn or the rumble of a passing subway train. It was a sound utterly alien to her ordered world. A sharp percussive crack that ripped through the urban clamor like a physical tear in reality. A monstrous black SUV, gleaming with an arrogant indifference to traffic laws, had been violently T-boned by a nondescript sedan. The impact buckled metal and shattered glass. Before the echo of the crash faded, a second crack followed, sharper this time, closer. Screams erupted, replacing the mundane city sounds with raw, primal panic. People scattered like startled pigeons, the river of suits and shoppers dissolving into chaos. Layla froze mid-stride, trapped on the asphalt island between lanes, her mind struggling to categorize the input. Accident, road rage. But then doors flew open on the sedan, and men emerged. Not with concern but with weapons. Sleek, dark, terrifyingly real firearms. They moved with predatory purpose, converging on the disabled SUV. This wasn't random. It was an ambush. Her accountant's brain, usually so adept at processing data, stalled. This variable was too extreme, too far outside the parameters of her known universe. Run, hide, calculate the exit vectors. The instinct screamed, but her feet felt bolted to the ground. And then she saw him. He was propelled from the passenger side of the stricken SUV, hitting the pavement with a force that should have broken bones. But he didn't crumple. He moved like liquid shadow, rolling, coming up in a low crouch, a weapon appearing in his hand as if by reflex. He was dressed in a suit that probably cost more than her annual salary, impeccably tailored even now, but a dark, ugly stain was rapidly blossoming high on his chest near the shoulder. A visceral splash of crimson against the pristine white of his shirt. He fired back, controlled bursts, forcing the attackers to take cover, but he was outnumbered and wounded. One attacker, bolder than the rest, broke from cover. His gun leveled directly at the man in the suit, moving in for the kill shot. In that fractured second, Layla's world narrowed to 2 points: the attacker's weapon and the eyes of the man about to die. He wasn't looking at his would-be executioner. In a moment of chilling clarity that defied the surrounding chaos, his gaze locked onto hers. Across the distance, through the smoke and screams, he saw her, the ordinary woman frozen in the crossfire. His eyes weren't pleading or fearful. They were a brilliant green, blazing with fierce intensity, a silent magnetic pull that short-circuited every rational thought in her head. It wasn't a look that asked for help. Felt like a command, a challenge, a branding. The attacker took aim. Layla Harris, the woman whose life revolved around mitigating risk and ensuring balances, performed the single most irrational act she could conceive. She didn't weigh the consequences. She didn't calculate the odds. She simply reacted, propelled by an instinct older and deeper than logic. No! The sound tore from her throat, swallowed by the cacophony. Time seemed to stretch, thick and viscous. She lunged forward, not away from the danger but directly into its path, positioning her own body between the leveled gun and the green-eyed stranger. The world exploded in a white-hot supernova of pain. The impact felt less like a bullet and more like being struck by lightning, a brutal force slamming into her back just below the shoulder blade. Her breath stuttered, the air punched from her lungs. She stumbled, collapsing against the very man she had tried to shield. Her cheek pressed against the rough, expensive fabric of his jacket. The metallic tang of his blood filled her nostrils, mingling with sandalwood and something warm and amber. Shock held the worst of the agony at bay, but the heat was spreading. Through the roaring in her ears, she heard guttural shouts. More gunfire. Closer now. She felt him move, a surge of controlled violence, as he returned fire over her fallen body, the concussions jarring her teeth. Layla. The sound of her name, muffled dark with rage and disbelief, slipped through the noise. How could he know her name? The thought snagged in her fading consciousness. The last image burning into her mind before the shadows rose was his face looming above her. Malik Stanton, the man she had inexplicably saved. The attacker who had shot her lay twisted on the pavement, but Malik wasn't looking at his fallen enemy. His green eyes, now darker, edged with fury and something possessive, were fixed solely on her. It wasn't the look of a man grateful for rescue. It was the look of a king who had just witnessed something impossible and decided it belonged to him. He scooped her into his arms with surprising gentleness. "Drive!" he roared as a surviving SUV screeched alongside. He carried Layla away from the wreckage and the bodies, out of the world of numbers and into his world of blood and secrets. Awareness returned not as a gentle dawn, but as disjointed inputs. Silence, profound and heavy, unlike a hospital's. Scent, sandalwood and amber, layered over leather and a whisper of something floral. Towering windows revealed a skyline glittering far below. She lay in a bed too large, beneath sheets too smooth, wearing a simple silk chemise instead of her work clothes. Pain spiked when she tried to sit. Her fingers found bandages at the exit wound near her collarbone and the entry wound in her back. It was real. The street. The gunfire. The green eyes. "Awake," said a deep baritone from the window's shadows. He stepped into the low light with a crystal tumbler in hand. No blood-stained suit now, just a black cashmere turtleneck and charcoal trousers. He looked rested, controlled, untouchable. "My home," he said when she asked where she was. "How long?" 3 days. His gaze never left her face. "You lost a significant amount of blood. My physician handled the surgery here. Discretion is paramount." Panic cut through the haze. "My job. My mother. They'll be worried. I need to call someone. I need a hospital." "No," the word dropped like a block of ice, absolute. "You can't keep me here. This is kidnapping." He moved closer, fluid and silent. "Semantics. I am ensuring your survival." He studied her. "You were shot protecting me. An inexplicable impulse." "You were hurt," she said weakly. "Someone had to run," he corrected. "Someone like you, an accountant immersed in numbers, should have calculated the risk and declined." He leaned in. "So why didn't you?" Layla searched for an answer that didn't exist. "I don't know. You present a conundrum," he said, pacing. "My people have been thorough. Fincrest Solutions confirms your employment. Your landlord confirms your solitary existence. The nursing home confirms your mother's condition. Your record is immaculate. You are precisely who you appear to be. An ordinary woman in extraordinary circumstances." "Then let me go," she pleaded. "I saw nothing. I'll say nothing. I just want my life back." "Your life changed when you stepped in front of that bullet," he said. "You cannot go back." "Why not?" Marcus Vescott, the man whose assassin you thwarted, doesn't tolerate witnesses. He saw your face. In the calculus of our world, that makes you my accomplice, my weakness. But I'm not, she cried. Perception governs survival, he replied. He will hunt you. Your ordinary life is over. So what happens now? Kill the woman who saved my life. Inefficient. A flicker of dark humor touched his mouth. I have a different solution. He stood at her bedside again. You made yourself his target. That makes you my responsibility. You will stay here, under my protection, until Vescott is neutralized. A prisoner. A very valuable, very restricted guest, he said. Think of it as protective custody, Stanton style. There are worse cages. He paused at the door. Do not attempt to leave. Do not attempt to contact anyone. My men are everywhere. The only safety you have exists within these walls. He looked back, gaze possessive. You belong to me now, Layla Harris. Until I decide otherwise. The door clicked shut. The penthouse's opulence, marble floors, abstract art, gleaming surfaces, became suffocating. The pain in her shoulder dulled. The terror sharpened. She felt owned. Days bled into nights, measured by the physician's visits and silent meal trays. Her shoulder healed quickly under expert care, but the invisible wounds festered. She explored cautiously, then restlessly. There were no photographs, no personal trinkets. The space felt less like a home than a vault designed to protect its most valuable asset, Malik Stanton, and now her. He was an enigma, a shadow at the periphery. He disappeared for stretches, returning late with a metallic scent of gunfire or the residue of cigar lounges and danger. He spoke little, but she always sensed his eyes. Watching. Calculating. Her old life dimmed. Fincrest, the tiny apartment, the nursing home upstate. Did they think she was dead? Had Malik engineered a clean severance? She asked Darius Cole, his wiry lieutenant, but he deflected. The boss handles everything. As pain receded, a different torment took hold. Inactivity. Layla's mind, built for structured analysis, starved. She created spreadsheets in her head, balanced imaginary budgets, critiqued flawed logic in thrillers, mentally redesigned the penthouse's flow. Idle, she began to fray. Malik noticed. He noticed everything. Her pacing, the finger-tapping calculus on marble, the glazed stare at the skyline. He recognized a sharp mind chafing against confinement. He prepared a probe. One afternoon, a guard entered carrying a sleek laptop. Boss needs urgent market reports checked. He typed, took a staged call, muttered about coffee, and left the machine unlocked. Layla watched suspicious. Too convenient. Too stage. She told herself to ignore it. She lasted almost an hour. The glowing screen pulled her. A dense spreadsheet. Numbers, cryptic labels, formulas. She frowned. Then a gasp of professional outrage escaped. This is wrong. Not messy, nonsensical. Sums didn't reconcile. Cross-references dead-ended. Depreciation methods were illogical. Liabilities listed as assets. Erratic amortization. It violated everything she held sacred. Either incompetence or a mask. She slid into the leather chair, opened Notepad, and began mapping inconsistencies. Payment dates, 14th, 28th, 9th. No obvious interval. What if the pattern lived in the deviation from the interval? Costs coded like ciphers. She cross-referenced amounts and processing times. He's not allocating costs, she whispered. He's encoding data within the allocation codes. She tracked maturity dates against rate changes. It's not linear encryption. It's in the delta, the derivative. Equations spilled onto a napkin. A non-linear model, volatility mirrored in chaos. It mirrors predictive algorithms, said a low voice behind her. She froze, then turned too fast. Pain flared. Malik stood in the doorway, arms crossed, unreadable. He had been watching. The laptop was left, I was only. He was calm. He approached, scanning her notes. Agitated Layla. Find an error in my market reports. It's not reports, she whispered. It's encrypted. Indeed. He produced a thin file and set it beside the laptop. It was her personnel file, and clipped to the front, a printed copy of her master's thesis. Chaos Theory in Accounting, Decoding Nonlinear Models and Historical Financial Ciphers. The realization hit. The laptop was a targeted test. Those ledgers, Malik said, voice tightening, aren't mine. They belong to Marcus Vesket. They hide the pipeline paying the traitor inside my house. He caged the desk with his hands, leaning in. My forensic teams worked 6 months, found nothing. Called it noise. Garbage. He tapped the thesis. But you can read it. The air between them charged. That day in the street, he murmured. I thought you a liability. Destiny delivered me a key. What do you want from me? Vesket has a mole. Someone close. These ciphers are his shield. Malik lifted her chin, his eyes intense. You are not my guest anymore. You are my weapon. Fear slid aside, replaced by a colder resolve. Layla saw the truth. Freedom in his world was fiction. Leverage was real. All right, she said evenly. You want your traitor and your enemy. I'll give them to you, but with conditions. He smiled, predatory and appreciative. Name them. 1. Complete access, onshore, offshore, shells, all of it. No more tests. Done. 2. Protection for my mother, around the clock. Untouchable. She will be safer than the mayor, he said. 3. When it's over, the man who shot me, alive. I want to face him. Surprise flickered, then respect. Granted. 4. When it's done, I walk away. New identity. Clean slate. No strings. The smile vanished. He stepped closer, voice low. Everything except the last. You saved my life and hold my legacy's key. You think I will let such an asset leave? His fingers grazed the bandage. You belong to me. Layla held his gaze. Fear, fury, and the treacherous whisper of attraction warred within. Then we work, she said coolly. We can renegotiate later. The penthouse transformed. Screens, printouts, secure lines, whiteboards webbed with connections. Nights and days bled together, purpose replacing paralysis. He provided names and histories. She traced faint digital trails through Vesket's maze. She learned his world's brutal arithmetic. He learned the reach of her mind. The tension between them tightened, a taut wire humming between strategy and something unspoken. Using a deceased trader's old access artifact recovered from a domestic storage unit, she plunged deeper. Layers of shells, ghost accounts, falsified audits, all funneling Stanton funds to Vesket while mimicking market drift or routine investments. Anthony Banks hadn't been just a trader. He was Vesket's financial puppeteer for years. He's brilliant, Layla admitted at dawn, surrounded by printouts. Pathologically so. He built deniability at every step. But you found the repository, Malik said, handing her black coffee, the lines of betrayal new on his face. The main domestic trust that consolidates the stolen funds before they're sliced apart, she corrected. The final piece, the active insider, remains. Keep digging, Malik ordered. My pressure is hurting Vesket. He'll need his inside man more than ever. He'll slip. The slip came 3 days later. Layla traced small wire transfers routed through multiple U.S. states, ending in a numbered account nested in a Wyoming trust structure. The timing matched ambushed Stanton shipments with eerie precision. He's not just stealing, she said, fingers flying. He's selling operational details, routes, protocols. Malik stood behind her, reading over her shoulder. Origin. A Vesket front in Illinois. Then Delaware entities, then Nevada layers, and up to a Wyoming trust. The flag reads, Project Nightingale. Malik went still. Nightingale, he repeated softly. Only 3 people knew I used that nickname for my dock security upgrades last year. Me, Anthony Banks, and Nico Vaughn, my head of security. My cousin. The puzzle clicked. The financial mole had corrupted Malik's own blood. His most trusted commander. Before Malik could speak the order, an incoming encrypted directive flashed on screen, flagged with the highest priority Anthony used. Wait, Layla breathed, decoding rapidly. Subject: Liquidation Protocol, Nightingale. Body: Server Vault 4 midnight. Authorize full asset transfer. 0 balance. Erase all logs. V. He's not just selling you out, she said. He's about to empty you out. Tonight. Malik's eyes turned glacial. Where is Server Vault 4? Stanton Private Holdings. Sterling Trust Building, downtown. Sublevel 3. He was already moving, speaking into a secure phone. Code Black. Sterling Trust. Full assault team. Bring Veskit. Bring Anthony. Find Nico. Bring him breathing. He ended the call and turned to her. You stay here. No. Not negotiable. It will be a slaughterhouse. And if anyone handles the system wrong, it wipes itself, she countered. Evidence gone. You will need me at the console. He weighed seconds against risk and tossed her a Kevlar vest. Do exactly as I say. If I yell down, you kiss the floor. The Sterling Trust sublevel hummed with chilled air and fluorescent light. Rows of servers blinked, a heartbeat of stolen legacy and betrayal. Leo's tools bypassed the lock. The vault door sighed open. Anthony Banks stood at the main console, fingers flying, while Marcus Veskit watched with smug ownership, flanked by 2 armed men. They hadn't heard the silent approach. Show's over, Anthony, Malik said, voice like a verdict. Veskit turned, hand dipping for a weapon, surprise morphing into calculation when he saw Layla. Sentimental, Stanton. You brought the accountant. Anthony turned. His grandfatherly face iced over. You were meant to chase phantoms, Malik. Bleed yourself dry. Built on my family's blood. Malik asked softly. Anthony dismissed it and spun back to the keys. Almost done. He's wiping it. Layla shouted, pointing at the screen only she truly understood. Scorched earth. Veskit cursed and fired at Anthony. The old man staggered, betrayal carved into his features. Malik's team opened fire. The vault detonated with sound. Shots snapping, bullets ricocheting. Malik shoved Layla behind a server bank. Down! She hit concrete. The wipe countdown began. 120 seconds. Malik grappled with Veskit between racks. Anthony bled near the console, clutching a small encrypted key fob. Layla saw the truth written in numbers. Waiting meant failure. She moved low, snatched the key fob from Anthony's hand as his eyes clouded, and slid to the console. The screen demanded authentication. Password. She scanned her memory of Anthony. Old guard, institutions, legacy. Her fingers flew. Access granted. Data purge, cancel. A shot cracked. Veskit aimed at her now. Malik roared and lunged. Layla hit cancel. The purge froze, aborted. Relief surged, then fear as Veskit steadied his aim. The impact never came. Malik stepped into the shot, his body a shield. He turned slowly, agony etched in his face, but his eyes were fixed on her. Told you, he rasped. Stay down. He collapsed at her feet, blood blooming where hers had. Veskit's pause was fatal. Malik's team cut him down. The vault fell into a humming quiet broken by Layla's ragged breath. Leo pressed Malik's neck. A live, weak pulse. He barked orders. Code Black. Physician on standby. Layla was already kneeling, hands firm on the wound. Pressure dressing. A guard snapped open a field kit. Blood type. Oh, negative, Leo answered. Prep plasma. Alert Dr. Albright. Thoracic surgery. Possible lung involvement. Her voice was pure command. She leaned close to Malik. Do not leave me now. We just balanced the books. The penthouse shifted again. Now a recovery ward. Antiseptic over amber. Monitors pulsed, steady but soft. Dr. Albright worked miracles. The bullet missed by millimeters. Layla stayed 3 days, sleeping in a leather chair, waking at the smallest beep. He opened his eyes before dawn and found her instantly. Layla. She was at his bedside, hand to his forehead, gaze clinical and calm. You're awake. Report, he rasped, still the boss. Veskit is dead. Anthony is dead. Nico Vaughn is contained. Leo is overseeing the transition. Assets secure. Purge stop. Evidence intact. Nico. Compromised, she said. Gambling leverage. He cooperated fully once Anthony fell. Kill him, Malik said automatically. No, Layla replied, soft but firm. He's more valuable alive under control. His operational knowledge is extensive. Killing him is inefficient. He stared, truly seeing her. Fear gone. The tentative accountant replaced by a cool strategist who weighed life and death like entries on a ledger. He had wanted a weapon. He had forged a queen. He reached for her hand. You saved me again. The equation required balancing, she said, though her fingers tightened around his. Your deal, freedom, he began. She looked toward the window where pale light crept in. I told you. Freedom isn't in the equation anymore. Then what is? This, she said, gesturing at the room, at him, at the invisible grid of his world. It's chaos, but there's a pattern. Your empire runs on numbers. And I am very good with numbers. Understanding dawned, followed by a slow, possessive heat. You want to stay. I belong here, she corrected gently. I balanced Veskit's books. Now I'm going to balance yours. Your systems are a mess. Inefficient. A low laugh rumbled into a cough. He kissed her knuckles. My father left me ashes, lies and war. His eyes held hers. You are my truth. My empire. She didn't resist when he drew her closer. The kiss that followed was not surrender. It was a merger. The accountant had found her calling, bringing logic to beautiful, dangerous chaos. The cage had become a throne, and she was ready to rule.